Hey, what's up everyone? This is Neil from prtahoe.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to take your CAD design ski or snowboard shape and put that into a graphic design program like Adobe Illustrator so that you can create kind of like a top sheet and base graphic for it so that you can personalize your board. So, last we left off, we made a snowboard shape, 150 centimeter snowboard shape inside of AutoCAD, and we need to get that ported over to Adobe Illustrator. There's a couple different ways that we can do it. Sometimes you may need to try a few different ways, but one way is to save the file as a DXF. So if we go File, Save As, and you can see in the drop down we have a couple different years of DXF. Usually 2007 works really good. And then what you would do is you would just open that same file in Adobe Illustrator. However, today I think I have an easy way to do this. And so we can sometimes just simply copy and paste these right in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my whole snowboard shape. I don't really need to worry about the mold shape in the graphics program. So I got that selected, and I'm going to press Control C. Then I'm going to go over to Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to create a new document. And if you want to put in like the measurements here, you certainly can. Let's go centimeters. For some reason in Adobe Illustrator, I like to work with the board vertically rather than horizontally. So width, I'm going to put that at, let's put 35 centimeters. And then the height, let's put that a little bit longer than the board. Let's put that at 160 centimeters. And then all we simply have to do is just hit Control V and paste that right in. And it looks like it came through pretty good. So the one thing that you want to double check when you do this, I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to go Transform, Rotate. That's 90 degrees. So you want to just take a look and make sure that all your lines made it through pretty well. Everything looks to be pretty well connected there. And sometimes, depending on which method that you bring it over, it doesn't always connect up that well. But we got lucky, and it worked with the copy and paste method, so cool. So to start, I'm going to take all those reference lines that we drew when we made this shape. I'm going to start deleting these out because we don't really need those. And then we also don't really need the core or the base cut shapes. So I'm going to start deleting those out as well. Oops. Few more to go here. There we go. So now we're left with the shape of just the overall board shape. We got a few more. We just have the overall board shape left over here. And you can see that like the lines kind of, they don't really transfer over 100%. So I'm actually going to give these lines a little bit of stroke thickness as well, just to thicken them up. And so that is quite a bit to the process already, although you see that the height of it is not quite it doesn't fill up that full 160 centimeters, or basically it just isn't true to size. So what we can do is you just want to make sure that you have your properties constrained, and then I'm going to enter in a height. We already know that it's 150 centimeters, and for the most part that should create an exact copy of what we already just made. I'm going to thicken these lines back up just one more time. And what I also want to do is I'm going to go ahead and group this whole selection together. So if you go Control G, that groups everything together so that if you select just like one thing, it moves the inserts and everything along with it. So now, you can almost start putting some artwork in here, but let's make this be just a little bit more fancy. So I'm going to draw a rectangle that just covers our entire canvas shape here, the whole 160 centimeters. And then we're going to use the align function. So I'm going to select both the board and that rectangle I just made. And check this out. If you go horizontal align center and vertical align center, then it gets that rectangle and the board shape to be like dead center for alignment. And then I'm just gonna put that right to the edge of the canvas. So that's pretty close, but however, notice that if I say let's create a rectangle here, and I'm going to send that to the back, that it doesn't really show the board shape. We can kind of just put some extra layering in there so that we get a little bit of a more true look to this whole thing. So again, I'm going to select everything, and what we're going to look for is the paint bucket tool over here. That one looks good right there. And then I'm going to I got to create a color for kind of our what I'll call our block out canvas. So we can do white, we can do black. It depends on the color of the graphic that you're going to make, but I'm going to just do gray for now. And I'm going to paint bucket that gray portion there. And now we have like a nice outer kind of region that makes it so that when we're trying to see our graphic, that it doesn't bleed over. See that? So, and then another good thing to do here is to start kind of organizing your layers. So I'm going to just name this layer top sheet. And then I'm going to create a new layer that actually goes under the top sheet. And then this is where you would put your artwork. Put artwork here. And then think about this as well. We're going to need to do a base graphic. So I'm going to take the top sheet, and I'm actually just going to copy and paste. With Adobe Illustrator, they've got a handy function that if you make your selection and you drag while holding Alt, it automatically copy and pastes your new selection there. And then what we can do is we'll take that and we can create a new artboard. So that's the artboard tool, and then let's go new artboard, and it's going to be fit selected art. And then being the bottom artwork, usually the inserts are not a huge factor. So I just double clicked to isolate that group. Oops. And maybe I'll have to do one at a time here. There we go. I'm just going to erase out those insert packs. And let's see here, just for organization purposes, I'm going to put this base sheet on its own. So let's see if I can get that. So notice I have the next a new layer selected. I'm going to say arrange. I'm going to say send to current layer. So that's our base template. Let's name this one. Let's rename that to top sheet template. And then we're going to need to, for the most part, we can put all of the artwork on our dedicated artwork layer, but you may want to put top sheet art and then do another layer of base art. Just like that. So as far as doing the actual graphic, that's beyond the scope of what I'm going to teach here. You're going to, Adobe Illustrator is a pretty detailed program that you can use in conjunction with Photoshop as well. However, this one really takes some practice to really unlock all the features that it can do. It's pretty amazing. But at the same time, it's like amazingly basic. So I'll just give you like 2 or 3 pointers here to kind of get going. First, you have your type tool, and if you want to put a name on your base, you can use that. You can do that using the type tool. So if I wanted to put prtahoe.com, and notice it's writing really, really small. And so we'll go ahead and adjust the size here. And the size is likely going to need to be like 500 points, and that's like pixel points. You can also just enter in your inches too. Like, so say if you want it to be 11 inches tall, then it will automatically do that as well. And it's a little bit too big, and let's do a bit of a different font. And then let's go ahead and rotate this, transform, rotate 90 degrees. There we go. Notice I'm in the base art layer over on the right, and so that automatically puts it behind the base sheet template. And you can see that it's a little bit too big for the board. So by doing it this way, notice that you automatically know that you have to bring that size down just a little bit. There we go. So the base tends to be the more basic of the artworks and a little bit faster. So for the top sheet, one thing I'm just going to show you is how to do a top sheet and how not to do a top sheet. So, say if we're just going to do some really, really basic shapes, a couple circles. And this might be a drawing, could be anything else, but for now, we're just going to do something pretty basic. I'm going to group those together. For now, I'm just going to bring those down just a little bit in size. So the absolute most important thing when you're making a snowboard graphic is to do your artwork in such a way that it's not constrained to the snowboard shape. We're not trying to like match our artwork along the edge of the snowboard, because when we go to print, we need to have excess graphic for bleed. And then on top of that, when we go to print this graphic, or when we go to do a heat transfer on this graphic, the plastics can shrink and expand by quite a bit. So it is just a best practice to make sure that you do your artwork in a full bleed fashion. Just like that. See how it's really kind of going all the way over the edges of the board? And so use the whole rectangular artboard there, and that's very important. And so if I now what I can also do here to make sure that I'm using that whole artwork, that whole artboard, is I can go to my layer preview here, and I can turn off my top sheet template, and now you can see that yes, indeed, you know, like we are utilizing the full bleed of this. And I'm just going to put a few more in here to make sure that we are really utilizing that. Here we go. And that, oh, it looks like we have, it looks like we're on to our base graphic just a little bit. So if we need to, we can always just kind of move that over. And actually, if we grab the artboard, then that will really kind of move that over for us too. We're having trouble here. There we go. And let's see here. So that pretty much gives you an idea of what we can work. I would look at some Illustrator tutorials on how to do graphic arts in Illustrator. This is definitely a professional tool, and if it's a paid tool, so if you don't really like to pay for software, I know that there are versions or there are different similar types of software that are free, so you might look that up. But that's about it. So, oh, and you know what? I just thought of a few other recommendations with the top sheet and the base. If you are going to do, say, like any kind of icon or any kind of type, let's bring that up. So when you actually do like your name badging or anything like that, I'm just going to rotate this. It is best to not align things like the name or icons under the inserts. Don't try to center them in a crucial way that it will look bad if it's not 100% center. And I also recommend not placing things that are constrained to the edge of the board, because there's a lot of movement as you're laying up your board. And then, so to get this ready for print, what you're going to want to do is first you'll save the version as just an Adobe Illustrator. So we'll put Snowboard. And then when you actually go to print this, you're going to want to make sure that you have your templates turned off. And to get this into kind of a print mode, I'll select, you can see we got our artboard selected. I'm going to say export as, and the TIFF version using artboards is usually a pretty good way to go. So just to make sure that I'm using my own, just my top sheet, I'm going to click range, select one, put that in the same folder, and export. So that gets you a really, really high quality version print of your board. Just some final notes. The DPI that you're going to want to use is at a very minimum 300 DPI. And then you're going to keep in mind that everything prints in the CMYK color space. So if you're doing this in Adobe Photoshop, chances are your colors will come out different because that uses the RGB color space. For example, if you're trying to do like a neon green, it's really easy to do in RGB and in Photoshop, but it looks terrible inside of Adobe Illustrator. I hope you guys have found this tutorial pretty handy. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button for me so that we can come out with more content just like this. And we'll be sure to keep creating tutorials so that you can create your own skis and snowboards at home and ride your own gear. Again, this is Neil from prtahoe.com. We make some great ski and snowboard building kits that you can pick up right at our website. So go check that out. And if there's any way we can help, feel free to reach out. Peace.